It.
Thank you, Paul. Okay, so to start the sessions, firstly, we welcome Dr. Chandrasekhar. I request Anshu to hand over a bouquet. Let me quickly introduce Dr. Chandrasekhar. Dr. Chandrasekhar is the additional director at the Ministry of Defense R&D and at the Gas Turbine Research Establishment. For the past 26 years, he has been involved in design, analysis, prototyping, rapid manufacturing, and testing of aero gas turbine engines. He set up the first ever rapid prototyping lab in the country. He led a group of scientists at Moscow in a critical phase of aero engine testing. And for his research efforts, he received a commendation medal from the scientific advisor to the defense minister. Dr. Chandrasekhar received his B from National Institute of Technology, Surathkal, MTech from IIT Madras, and a PhD from VTU for his work in stereolithography. For his academic excellence at IIT Madras, he received an award from former President of India, Dr. Kalam, and was trained in Germany, UK, and Belgium in rapid prototyping and sensor technologies. He is also the founder member of Rapid Prototyping Society of India and currently serves in the Council of the Institution of Engineers, National Design Research Forum, and several other bodies. He is an expert member on the propulsion panel of the ARDB, and in recognition of his stellar efforts for Aero Society of India, he received the National ASI Award from the President. He is also on the R&D vision team of the VTU and Anna University, a role through which he is trying to catalyze R&D culture among engineering colleges. In recognition of his professional efforts, he was selected to the post of the chairman of R&D committee of the Institution of Engineers. Currently, he is supporting the research activities at UG, PG, PhD levels in about 90 engineering colleges and technical universities. I am honored to have Dr. Chandrasekhar here, and sir, thank you for coming.
Good morning to all of you. I saw in the agenda the tea session starts at 11 o'clock, and I try to optimize the length of my talk for about 30 minutes, but I see that I have got more than 35 minutes. It's like getting into 2020 match, and after getting into batting, and umpire declares that you got 25 overs instead of 20 overs, so you can relax a bit, right? Right in the beginning, I would like to compliment the entire team of Quest for conceptualizing this particular colloquium. It's a need of the hour, and the success story of India as far as the IT services is very well known, but what is not known to the masses is the success story of India in design and engineering services. I still vividly remember the early days of Quest, maybe 98, 99, when they set up the first ever design center in Bangalore. We had an opportunity to work very closely with the Quest team. Incidentally, Mr. Sundarajan was the director of GTRE at the time, and the team of Quest stayed in GTRE premises for close to 8 months in helping us, in collaborating with us, with reference to the optimization of the Kaveri engine structures. So from those early days where the operations of Quest were largely confined to Bangalore and Belgaum, it's been a continuous success story for Quest, and you could see now from the presentation of Paul that they have spread their footprints to Australia, UK, and beyond. And this remarkable journey is very notable in the context of Indian industrial growth, simply because of the fact that unlike the peers who have been earning their business surpluses by doing IT-enabled services, the Quest has been always championing the engineering services as a solo driver for their business growth, and it's very remarkable for all of us who believe in engineering. The entire source of my presentation is because of my 25, it's hard to believe, I spent 26 years in GTRE with very close association with the development work of a Kaveri engine, a twin spool low bypass engine of 50 kilonewton variety or class. I should hasten to add that compared to so many doyens of CAE practices, including Professor Lakshminarayana, Dr. Sharad, and many others who I see here, have been only given the role of additional director of a mechanical analysis group in GTRE, fundamentally I have been practicing whole lot of things corresponding to the experimental mechanics. So it's my duty to acknowledge substantial amount of support from Dr. Jain, who is well known in the field of impact mechanics, Suresh, who is connected with vibration analysis, Mr. Patnaik and Srinivas Rao, who do the lifing jab, and Anbalagan, who does the CAD job. And it's because of these contributions that the presentation is in the shape that I am going to present to you today. Fundamentally, I've got two objectives to be fulfilled during the course of next 30 minutes. The first and foremost is to illustrate the impact of the CAE practices on various facets of development connected with the gas turbine engine. And you won't believe unless I show or illustrate some case studies. So wherever it's possible, I would like to give first-hand case studies that can delineate the impact of CAE over the design and development procedures. The second objective is also important, which describes how CAE practices enable us to fulfill some of the important business drivers. It could be time compression, it could be performance enhancement, or life extension. We have seen in the early days, whenever there was a situation of procuring a system, people used to talk about only procurement costs. Now there is a tendency, or there is a propensity to talk about the life cycle cost. And CAE fraternity has got a very important role in terms of ensuring that the life cycle cost can be minimized to the greatest extent possible. Maybe the first objective is very close to the heart of technology practitioners, but the second objective is very important to the business honchos or the people who sign your salary checks. So to that extent, I will try and give a brief description of both of these objectives. Fundamentally, the entire presentation is going to be centered around the gas turbine engine related practices. Whether you're talking about Kaveri engine, our own indigenous model, or MIT-8, which has been in the news because of SNECMA's win in winning the multi-role combat aircraft order from the government of India, or the GE 404, which is synonymous with the LCA Tejas, or the state-of-the-art F-35. There are certain striking features of gas turbines which need to be in the forefront whenever CAE is talked about in the parlance of the gas turbine engine technology. Fundamentally, most of these spin or rotate at very high RPM. So it means you've got humongous mechanical stresses to be surmounted when you are designing the systems. Concomitant to these mechanical loads, you have got operating temperatures. Traditionally, TETs of 1800 Kelvin were known to all of us, but in the contemporary situation, we do come across situations like 2200 Kelvin in engines like F-135, which should have been enabled with single crystal technology, maybe augmented by thermal barrier coatings. But whenever you talk about this kind of challenging environment, what is that which strikes us immediately is the high thermal stresses. Someone jokingly mentioned that wherever you look at in the gas turbine industry, the situation is very hot. That's kind of reflected in the second sentence. In addition to these predictable loading conditions, we also have complex loads connected with maneuvers, turn rates, thermal transients. So there are a lot of parameters to which you need to be sensitive when you are designing the structures to operate under wide array of environmental conditions ranging from -50 degrees centigrade to extremely hot conditions which you see in the desert environment. But doing all this is very much possible if no one puts a restriction on the weight of the gas turbine engine. Unfortunately, it's not so. Whenever you are talking about high thrust, what immediately follows the thrust is the thrust to weight ratio. So whatever you do will be appreciated only when you can enhance the thrust to weight ratio. So fundamentally, the success of the CAE practice in case of a classic gas turbine engine development is reflected in the enhancement that you can showcase through high power to thrust ratios. Now, I was debating internally in which way can I explain the story or the evolution of CAE practices in the gas turbine enginery. There are several methods. One method is you can talk about the role of FEM in the aero engine design corresponding to impact mechanics, corresponding to the assessment of flight loads and the static casings, or the heat transfer analysis when you are talking about gas flow components. When you talk about the rotor system, you need to discuss the vibration analysis and rotor dynamics when it comes to the transmission shafts. And in case of hard section components, you'll be talking about the combination of LCF, creep, and HCF. So it's possible to illustrate the impact of CAE on the gas turbine engineering by talking about all these case studies. Other method would be to talk about the impact of FEA at different stages. We all know the very initial layout of the gas turbine engine is made based on your preliminary 2D analysis. Then you go into the design optimization stage where the impetus would be towards maximizing the performance. Then, in spite of the fact that CAE is traditionally associated with the design cycle, CAE indeed has got a pronounced influence on the testing of the gas turbine engine in the failure analysis, in the defect investigation. So it's also possible to describe the evolution of CAE practices with this kind of approach, which talks about design, during design and post design. And other approach could be talk about the modules. See, when you look at the standard architecture of a gas turbine engine, right from the inlet casing to the fan to the intermediate compressor to the combustor, beyond that hard section components like turbine, exhaust, and jet pipe, each of the modules have got their own set of lifing requirements and safety requirements. When you talk about low temperature components like fan and compressor, you tend to be very, very sensitive to the issues like LCF and HCF. And when you come to the components like turbine and combustor, you'll be talking about the creep, you'll be talking about the thermal fatigue, and you'll be talking about the oxidation. So CAE has got an extremely important role in terms of fulfilling the design compliance with these challenging conditions. Just for the illustration, I picked up one example corresponding to HP spool disc drum. Look at the primary design specifications. The moment we talk about HP spool, we talk about LCF life of 7,000 cycles. These are 0, max 0 kind of characters. And the creep strain need to be limited to the less than 0.1% for 100 hours. But in addition to the design specifications, you also have limiters that in a situation where there is an overspeed at about 115% of the max speed or the burst likelihood at 120%, still the structure needs to have the necessary integrity. And the primary failure modes could be because of the fatigue or because of the creep or because of the overspeed and burst. So what is that which I am trying to drive your attention to is whenever the CAE practitioner or a professional is talking about implementing the CAE practices, at one point of time he'll be talking about the primary design expectations. At the same time, he will also be looking at the limiting conditions. There is always a propensity to talk about the 3D modeling based analysis, but even today, in a situation like GTRE, we start off with the axisymmetric model, wherein you have got these 2D layouts of the discs and drums and the casings, simply because these long slender shafts are supported at the bearings with the deep groove ball bearings, and you will put the axial constraints at those bearing locations, and then you simulate the centrifugal loads, the blade loads, and thermal loads, and you tend to assess the growth of all these components with reference to the bearing locations, and deriving the boundary conditions, you will go towards the three-dimensional analysis. So what is that which I want to illustrate through this particular analysis is, in spite of the recent propensity to talk about 3D modeling, 3D analysis, most of the times the initiative as far as the CAE practice is concerned happens with a simple axisymmetric model. Now, I talked about a structure wherein the loads are known to us, but there are also some structures which are susceptible to parameters which are not known to you, which cannot be assessed a priori. It could be a bullet nose, it could be an inlet strut, or it could be fan rotor or second stage stator blades. What do you do in this case? It's a very nice story because the practitioner of this particular technology is my neighbor in GTRE, Dr. Rajiv Jain. I'm sure many of you know from the early days of Cosmos to NISA to MSc Nastran to Dytron. Now you talk about LS Dyna. Originally, when GTRE was talking about impact mechanics, it was largely a static analysis. Whenever there is an impact stress, a simple empirical relation 2 into the steady state stress, this is what you are likely to encounter. From those early days, now we have come up to the transient dynamic analysis, wherein not only you identify evaluate the deformation characteristics of slender blades when subjected to foreign objects, but also you calculate the containment capability of the casing, and in case of a blade off, what happens to the balance, what is the kind of transfer of the loads to the bearings, and if there is a crater which is created by the impact of a simple pellet or a small bird, whether this particular crater can lead to the dynamic stress concentration which concomitant effects on the lifing. All this is possible because of the humongous improvements in the processing capabilities of the computers, as well as the, ever-growing capabilities of the analysis solutions, software solutions. Now, I talked about the components which operate on the low temperatures. When I'm talking about low temperatures, I'm only talking about the temperatures with which the titanium structures can comfortably operate. When you come to the HPT rotor blades or LP turbine blades, typically these components are cast out of superalloy nickel materials, and in these cases, and you also you need to have a study on the mission cycle, wherein you can identify the steady state dwell periods and corresponding to different dwells at stages like takeoff and combat and loiter and diversion. You calculate the creep, and the whole sum of the cumulative creep would be a useful commodity in terms of estimating the turbine blade life. Now, when you talk about the HCF analysis of the turbine blade, you calculate the stresses corresponding to the locations like root, shroud and aerofoil, and corresponding to the mean stresses that you can calculate, you can identify the allowable vibratory stresses, which in turn decide the reliability of this particular component under cyclic conditions. Now, whatever components I talked about, they were all bulky in nature, but unfortunately in case of gas turbine engine, you do come across several places where the components are made out of sheet metal like structures. For example, in case of a combustor, the casing thickness is just about 2 mm, but if you look at the operating pressures, the max pressure could be as high as 25 bar, and the max metal temperature could be as high as 1100 Kelvin. And one more structure which is made out of sheet metal is a jet pipe liner, wherein the liner thickness could be sub mm, and the metal temperatures even in this case lies in a span of 850 to 1100 Kelvin. In these instances, you don't really talk about LCF, but you would be very, very cognizant of the fact that they are prone to buckling, and the permanent deformation under normal conditions will be big no, and the creep life to rupture will be close to 1000 hours. So the finite element analysis, when it is applied to the thin section structures like the jet pipe liners, as well as the combustors, have got their own set of challenges which are radically different from those which you encounter when you are analyzing the turbine blades or compressor blades. Now, I talked about the application of CAE techniques only with reference to the design, but more than the design, as soon as the metals are cut, you do encounter some problems in the very early stages of the turbine development. For example, I am very sure Mr. Sundarajan would remember, because this is a problem which we encountered 10 years ago. The front casing, there was a sharp increase in the vibration levels at the bearing housing, even at very low rotational speeds. So what is the CAE team did in this case was, they kept on iterating with reference to the number of struts. They introduced some stiffeners. With all these problems, the vibration levels were brought down, which was also validated with the help of a dedicated test in our mechanical analysis group. So here, there was a synergistic combination of CAE techniques along with the experimental techniques in terms of overcoming a problem which could have been an impediment in terms of the gas turbine performance. And one more problem with which most of the gas turbine houses are beset with is the flutter problem. In this specific instance, you can see the application of the computational fluid dynamics in terms of shifting the location of the shock and the vibration analysis in terms of increasing the frequency. The concurrent applications of the CFD and FEM are able to solve the problem connected with the flutter. All other problems which I talked about never had a business driver as a goal. In this case, the business driver, as far as the gearbox is concerned, is the weight reduction. And in this, the casing of the gearbox has been subjected to the vibration loads, blade off loads, and manual loads. And in spite of the fact that it's extremely complex geometry, in spite of the fact that the combination of so many different kind of loadings could be a big challenge, the CAE team was able to cut down the weight by as much as 25%, not only through an approach which is oriented towards mechanical design, but also through an approach which looked at substitution of aluminum alloy with a magnesium alloy. And till now, I talked about the practices which are connected either with the estimation of the stresses or strains or the weight. But there is one more fascinating story connected with our stress and weight engineering